In this hot take, we're going to talk about how to get your first purchase contract, and if you're scaling your business, how you can be effective to get more. What is going on, and welcome to another episode of The Hot Take. I'm your host of BatchTV, Jesse Burrell. This is where we talk everything real estate from wholesale, fix and flips, rentals, and everything in between. Today I have a very special guest, Max Jimenez. What's going on, playa?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good to see you.
Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to be talking about how to get more deals, but holistically, we're going to talk about sales.
Yes.
We're going to talk about how you can get your first deal. If you're already getting deals, how do you get more deals with the same leads?
I love it. I love it. You got to get better at negotiating. Remember that.
So before we get started, let's give a quick bio of you, like 20, 30 seconds.
Sure.
How long you've been in real estate,
Sure.
roughly how many deals you doing,
Awesome.
and then what markets are you in?
Yeah, awesome. So Max Jimenez from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm actually Steve Trang's business partner. We focus more on wholesaling, real estate in general, but I've been wholesaling since 2015, so about 6 years now. And we're averaging about 10 deals a month. But our spreads are pretty big. We don't contract anything. So our spreads are between 25 and 30,000 average.
All right, well, let's get into it. So let's start with the new person.
Sure.
Someone new that's coming in, someone that's just trying to get their first deal. We don't need to talk about marketing.
Yeah.
They're on the phone with the seller.
Yeah.
Seller says they're interested. You know, what's the first tip you would give someone?
Yeah. So the first tip I would give anybody that's watching this is get through the disqualification process as fast as you can, because not everybody's a seller for our business or our solution. I think that's the first thing. Now, you got to be able to know and how to identify that is who is the real seller. I call it who's a prospect and who's a suspect.
Right. So elaborate.
So basically, you know, every time that if you're cold calling, we'll just say that, right? We'll stick with the basics. If you're cold calling a list, our intro, our pitch is going to be, hey, hello, Jesse. So we do a pattern interrupt, and then we say why we're calling, looking for the owner of 123 Main Street. And then they say, okay, what's this about? Then they let us know. And then we let them know. We say, well, we're looking to buy properties in the neighborhood. Are you considering selling? One of the key tells is that they're going to say, yeah, how much do you offer? Right. Yeah. That's usually what they say up front. Now, what we do is we rebuttal and we say, okay, so it sounds like you're looking for the most for the property. Of course, if they say yes, and we take them down what we call a retail funnel, so that we disqualify them pretty fast within like 2 minutes of the call. We will disqualify them.
And I can't agree more is like, you don't want to go away from what's inevitably going to happen. So the first thing you want to do is, well, why don't you just list it?
Correct. Yeah. So there's a question actually before, and I probably jumped over to here too soon. Before we put them into a retail funnel or get into talking some creative stuff, obviously we're talking about someone new, so they're not going to really know about creative.
Yeah.
There's a question that we say, hey, that's not unusual. What were you hoping for? That question is a shotgun question because they're either going to say, well, I was hoping to get rid of this house, or I was hoping that you pay the most. Yeah.
So yeah, for you new people, that's a great nugget on how to open a conversation.
Yep.
But where are you seeing, because you've worked with so many people, where are you seeing the new investors struggle the most on contracting a property?
So getting too excited and too emotional in the sale, right? Wanting it more than your prospect wants your solution.
Right.
And you know what? And you can mess up a motivated seller as well too, because a lot of times when let's say your MAO is 150, but they give you a price of 120, you're like, oh, let's go. When can you sign? When can we send you the contract? So what happens is you create an emotion in the prospect, and they're like, "Oh my God, did I move this too quick? Did I do this too fast?" So that's one of the biggest things that I see a lot of new people that are watching, that they struggle. And what we do is we struggle back, like, "Oh, 120. I don't know if I can do that. You know, I have to do some. Let's pretend I can do that." So we slow it down for them.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to do the foreplay.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Just because they're saying they're ready, you don't want to scare that girl off. You know, she's like, "I'm ready," and you're like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Oh, whoa.
What the hell was that?
Oh, I did say a word at the end there, didn't I?
Did you see the part when all this was going on and shaking the tail feathers and whatnot?
I didn't see it. I got the worst view in the house.
That's what chased them away, man.
Believe me, I've lost many deals because of that. Yeah, you have to play the part. You have to let them know that you're also struggling to give them the price, just like they're struggling to give you the house. A lot of things that, one thing that I always tell people, remember, you're buying a property from an individual that's been in their home 20, 25 years.
Right.
So the emotional attachment is there, deeper than you wanting that property.
Yeah, let me use an analogy. You know, gamblers with money, they see it differently. And like us with buying houses.
Correct.
It's something we do every day. People are gambling. A poker player is literally they lose $5,000. That's just a part of their day.
Yeah.
You know, for us buying houses, that's just a part of our day. But for someone that doesn't do that regularly, you have to have to shift your mind to look at their perspective.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I tell new people that are either acquisitions or looking to get hired is I always say, look, this business is a different ballgame. You might have done sales somewhere else. You might have sold other services. When you come here, we're not actually buying anything. We're not selling anything. What we're doing is we're solving a problem. And the result of solving that problem is you buy a house at 30 cents on the dollar. If your mindset is that you wanting to buy 40, 50 cents on the dollar, that property, without solving that problem, you're going to run in so many walls. So that's one thing that I always tell them. You have to figure that out first.
That's such great advice for people that are new. But let's go into, you know, someone that has a couple acquisition reps or someone that has a team. You know, what are some tips that you could do to make sure that, you know, you're basically a sales director at that point?
Yeah, correct.
So for like founders or even for acquisition reps, like what's something that the owner could do of the wholesale operation to, you know, maybe scale a company or make sure that all of their people have a process in place?
So if you own a wholesale business, if you are a sales director, you got to have a sales process or sales framework that's repeatable.
So let me explain. This will be the best nugget of the episode, besides all the good ones you gave. But unfortunately in wholesaling, if you don't have a really good sales process, here's the reality.
Yeah.
People are going to leave, and they're going to leave quickly, and they're going to leave often.
100%.
You need to have a really strong sales process because you are teaching someone how to wholesale. They see the money you're making.
Correct.
They're inherently, a lot of them there's a lot more than just selling.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are going to go out on their own. That is the biggest struggle for every wholesale operation.
100%.
You went through it.
100%.
I went through it.
Yeah.
Have a good process so you can plug and play someone in, and immediately you are already making money again.
Correct.
And your new acquisition reps making money too.
That's 100% right. And that's what the sales process does for you, that sales framework. It just makes it to where someone comes in, plug and play. You got the directions of where they need to go. You can even do something as fun as create it into a checklist. Did you do this point on the call? Did you check this off on the call? And it works great, and it keeps that attention on the next deal.
So you talked about 6 points, right? Or 6 steps. Can we briefly go over 6 steps?
If I can remember all of them. So we have the first one is building rapport, right? That's huge. Obviously, that's a standard. If you're not building rapport, now building rapport is not for you to get your emotion. What is it? Your emotions met. So what that means, building rapport, is you got to understand what type of person you're dealing with. Are you dealing with the driver? Are you dealing with someone that's steady? You know, you got to figure out the DISC profile. Yep. It's a good thing that if you guys are watching, look up DISC profile so you can understand what type of prospect you're dealing with.
If you want to learn more about DISC and how to understand and apply it to sales, check out this video.
So that way you know how to talk to them, right? Yep. The second thing that we do is we establish the rules. This is the fun one where most people are like, we're telling them up front what we're doing, and we're closing them up front. We're closing them on the second step of our process. Right. We let them know, like, here's what's going to happen. We're going to ask you some questions. And then at the end of this meeting, we're going to end up buying this house. And if you're going to tell me a maybe, just let me know it's a no. Like, so we let them, we give them the option to say no up front, but we also tell them that if it makes sense for us to work together, we're putting things in writing. Yeah. And then the third thing is that we're going through the pain funnel, right? Yep. This is where we're going to find out what is the situation, what's their motivation, right? You can call it motivation.
Are they a fit?
Are they a fit? Correct. Yeah. Is my offer of, 60% of ARV going to solve that pain situation?
In Phoenix right now, you could offer like 98% and still make money.
Yeah, 100%. No, for sure. But here's the kicker though, is one thing that we have gotten better at, because not everybody has an actual pain that's hurting for them to need to sell the house, but they also have a gain perspective because maybe they got another investment that they need to, go after.
That's happened to me many times. It's not always emotional pain. It can be a financial pain, and pain just means it's a more generalized term.
Yeah, correct.
Because it could be an opportunity, like, I need to sell this because I need to get liquid and buy this.
100%. Yeah, that's gain. That's gain. And usually you get gain from people that own 2 properties.
Yeah, those are from rentals.
Yeah, from rentals, or somebody that's a little more savvier, right? They're not struggling or anything like that, but they still got to sell, and they don't want to invest in repairing that property.
I have personally sold properties at discounts.
I know you have.
I am busy, and because I always wondered, why would someone sell, especially an investor? And I'm like, dude, I just don't have time.
Convenience.
Like, here, give me 80 cents. Like, the house is done. Like, go deal with my manufactured home. Like,
Exactly.
I don't want to do it right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the next step is confirming, right? So we're confirming everything we talked about. We're confirming about the pain step. You know, okay, this is what's going on. Okay, so on a scale to 1 to 10, how important it is to get this done? Not necessarily with me. So now we're gonna see where they're at on that scale to see if they're truly someone that's motivated to sell to us.
Right.
And then from that, the fifth step is budget. Where now we're gonna get into, okay, so you know, if we were able to do this for you based on what you told me that you're trying to accomplish, just out of curiosity, what's the lowest you feel comfortable selling if we were able to take care of that for you?
Right.
So we asked that question, right? We want to figure out where their budget is. We never negotiate from what the property's owed. We always negotiate from what they owe and what they need. There's two different things, right?
Yeah.
Because most people are like, what's my property worth? I don't know. We don't know the condition. We don't know where it's at. So
it's never about price though.
it's not.
It's not. It's about, obviously, the most people that want price or are concerned with price are almost always not a fit.
Yeah. 100%. Not 100%.
They will
90%.
pretend price for
Right.
a while. I mean, people want to get the most amount of money.
Of
But
course.
it's,
Of course.
But a lot of times people just have no idea. Too.
Yeah. Yep. And then the last two steps, these are combined, right? We're doing a fulfillment step and a post-sale. Now, the fulfillment step means that we are now moving into writing the agreement. We've agreed on the price.
Yep.
It's going to solve their pain. It's going to get them to their gain. Now we're going to do the fulfillment, sign the agreement. The most important one that we don't skip is the post-sale. Now, this is going to sound weird to some people, but Jesse, let's say this was the contract. Once you sign it, you're going to give it to me, and I'm going to say, hey, Jesse, something I want to share with you. One of my biggest fears is that I'm going to leave, and you're going to have people, come, call you, or your phone's still going to ring. If someone calls you, that's trying to buy the house, what are you going to tell them, Jesse? I'm not giving them the answer. I want to hear it from you.
Right.
Yeah. And then
They need to say it's sold.
Yeah, they need to say it's sold.
Or else
Exactly.
you need to make sure they understand that.
Yeah, because we say, look, I'm gonna leave. We're gonna open up escrow, and I don't want to do all that. So if you think that's gonna happen, you think we should just tear the contract up right now? And they look at me, their eyes get so big, like, I've never heard this before. And I've had wholesalers and I have other people like, why do you do that? Because if it's gonna happen, I want it to happen now, not at the closing table.
Everyone is scared to walk away from a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be scared to walk away from a deal. And it's just going to turn into a headache down the road.
100%.
If they're not on the same page. It's like people are so scared to make sure people are getting on the same page as them. If you're new, you basically have to know the steps on how to talk to a homeowner. And if you have a team, what you need to do is you need a process. And we just
100%.
went through 6 steps of how to do that. But all that needs to be documented and trained. That's what's most important.
Yeah. Training is the biggest thing. We have a saying at the office, we work more on ourselves than we do in our business, right? Obviously, we work a lot in business, but if you're not self-developing, if you're not reading the books, if you're not communicating, practice in the mirror. I always tell, how do you get better at tone? Look at yourself and talk in the mirror. And what's going to happen is you're going to see yourself, your tonality. You're going to be like, oh, shoot, that sounded weird. Let me adjust that. And people are like, why would it do that? I've done that before. Like, or record yourself. If you're talking to people and you have your phone there, everybody's got a smartphone nowadays. Record yourself and then play it back like, oh, I sounded like crap.
Oh, trust me, I do a YouTube channel now. Like I've done this. Absolutely.
It's scary to hear yourself, right?
I know. Alex in the back. Shout out to Alex. He'll be playing me right before we start. And I'm like, ugh, that's what I sound like. I was like, all right, let me change it up.
100%. But yeah, I think working on your craft. I always say you always got to be working on your craft. I've been going to sales training for the last 3 years, and I try to do at least once a week. Because here's the thing: if you don't respect your craft is not going to respect you. And even if you're new, I don't care. Like, you got to start somewhere. You got to start making sure that you're working on your craft every single day.
You better be. You train on it.
Of course.
So before we go, how do we get a hold of you on social media?
Sure.
And then one gold nugget, anything entrepreneurship related. What's just something that you would love to give to the audience?
Sure. So the best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram at Max Jimenez. I answer all my DMs. Maybe not on the same day, but I do answer my DMs. I actually helped a guy today modify his script through my DMs.
Oh boy.
And so the golden nugget that I can give someone is that this entrepreneurship is a journey, right? And one of the things you got to learn is that failure is part of that journey, right? You're going to run into failure, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing things right. It just means that you're growing. And as you grow, going back to that comment, is you gotta get into higher self-development. You got to work on yourself more and more, because it's like the Mario game. When you go levels, they get really harder.
Yeah.
Most people think it's hard when you start. Wait till you get to level 10. It's going to be even harder.
Oh, I know. I know. Well, thank you, brother, so much for coming on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for joining another episode of The Hot Take. It was absolutely amazing. Make sure to like, subscribe, check out our free giveaway, and let's get it. Check out these other videos right here. Follow me on social media.